Are you admitting them? Everyone, I'm Jim Gast. Just give us a couple minutes to let everybody in and also get the stragglers in as well. I appreciate you joining. We're really excited to have you. A couple of housekeeping things. Through the presentation, please ask questions as we go in the chat. Okay, so in the chat here, at the chat button, make sure that you type them in there. Debbie is watching for questions and she'll interrupt me with a few questions as we go, but I like to actually save a lot of questions until the end unless they have to be asked in context. But please put them in as we go. And I appreciate that. Also, if you see something or hear something you like, do me a favor and give me a reaction. Everybody use the reaction button right now and kind of give me a clap or whatever using the reaction button. That's always nice to see. All right, thanks for the thumbs up, Alexis. I appreciate that. Debbie gave me a thumbs up too. Anybody else? Mike, thanks. Tiffany, thank you so much. So you guys know what the reaction button is. It's up there by the raise your hand and the chat button also. Everybody can put hi in the chat and say hi if you'd like to kind of make sure it works. We'd like to ensure that everybody can use that. And that's where you will ask your questions. Okay. Thanks, Vicki. Thanks, Nancy. We really appreciate that. So today, we are going to talk about Microsoft 365 Copilot and how it is everyone's assistant. All right. Whether you are an assistant or whether you have an assistant or whether you would love an assistant, or if you're an assistant that wants an assistant, Microsoft 365 Copilot is your go-to solution for it. But first, before we get to that, let me introduce myself real quick. I am Jim Gast, and I am the Director of AI-powered business development here at Vallejo Networks. I'm new. I've been here for all of September 1st, but I previously ran my own IT company, and we were really big on AI and Microsoft 365 Copilot, so much that I do these things monthly at least. I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a jeeper, I'm a dog dad, I'm a runner. By the way, the dogs, I think they own me, right? I think they think they're parents to me. Ask them, they'll tell you the way they act for sure. And there's my contact information. I'll also get that to you later on. I think it's important for you to have. So, by the way, a lot of people always ask, will we record this and get the recording out? Yes, absolutely. You can count on that. And we don't do it. We don't have to take a whole lot of time. We like to get that out right away. All right. So why me? Why do you want to listen to me? You know, why is this important? What is this guy? We've never met this guy. Who is this guy? Right. And he's new at Vallejo. Why do we really want to pay attention to this guy? Well, I've been doing this for 30 years. I mean, a long time, right? I was a chemist before that. Long story. I'll tell you about that some other time. But I have only worked in technology, cybersecurity, Microsoft 365, and Azure, and AI over the last 30 years. I'm probably in AI now 5 years. And utilizing it. And I take it from a different approach. Everybody likes to kind of talk about, oh, it does this great stuff or use it. I like to make it productive, right? And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to make it very productive. I'm not going to kill you death by PowerPoint today. I've got maybe 1 or 2 more slides and that's it. And then we'll get right into my demonstrations. But over those years, I've helped thousands of businesses and I enjoy it. I have presented and spoken at so many events and then for so many publications, I've lost count on all these topics. And in the last 24 months, Microsoft has asked me in particular to speak for them on Microsoft 365 every single month. And I really enjoy it. So we've got a great relation with Microsoft and so much that I'm actually quoted on the Microsoft website. Don't ask me what that quote's from. I know it was an interview, but I can't remember saying it. But it's an important thing to be on the Microsoft website for a guy like me. It's like being on the front of Forbes magazine. So that's me. That's why you should listen to me. Let's get into what we're talking about. What is Microsoft 365 Copilot? Everybody talks about it, right? Everybody knows the ChatGPT. Shh, don't tell anybody I said that, the bad words, right? Everybody knows what ChatGPT is, and it's a great product, right? Not taking it away from Google at all. Well, not Google, but you know. I'm not taking away from OpenAI at all, but the fact of the matter is it's a public AI. Microsoft 365 is your own business's AI built and surrounded and kept secure within your Microsoft 365 bubble, okay? If it's in your Microsoft 365 and you as a licensed user for Microsoft 365 Copilot have access to the data, Microsoft 365 Copilot, henceforth I'll call it Copilot in a little bit, will be able to access that data and help you do things with it. And I'm going to show you how that works today. All right. Again, questions, put them out there. Very important to get the questions going as soon as you want. That's very important. Now, it's an AI assistant. It works in your Word, and your Outlook, and your Excel, and your Teams, and your PowerPoint, and your blah, 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 Microsoft 365 products. In so many of them, not all of them, but so many of them to help you do things, right? It's not that you go to a separate website. Now, there's a separate app for it as well, but it's embedded in all those other things. And so it will help you utilize the things that you've done. Read your email, check your schedules, prioritize your day, all of those things, right? I'm going to get to that, Madhu. I think that's how it's pronounced, Madhu. I'm going to get to that. And so, yeah, that's my next slide, actually, and that's the last slide I have for you. But it's secure, okay? When you ask a question of it, it's going to look at the data that you have in your Microsoft 365, okay? And only in your Microsoft 365. Doesn't look at your computer, doesn't look at your file server, only your Microsoft 365 to say, hey, based on this, right? And utilize the things you've done in the past. In addition to that, it can go out to the internet and search for additional information if you want it to. This, again, is still the paid version of Microsoft 365 Copilot. Now, when it goes out to the internet and asks those questions, it doesn't send data out to the internet. It uses something called the Microsoft Orchestrator that goes out and gets that question and brings it back securely and doesn't send your data out to the internet to answer the question. So you got the best of both worlds. It can use your work data and the internet data at the same time, or you can kind of split it up, only use work or only use internet. So really cool. We're going to see how that works today. Now, hang on. Why won't you advance? Stop it. Stop it. I want you to advance. Come on. Okay. Now, Microsoft 365, Microsoft has just confused the world. Okay. Leave it to them. They'll get it worked out later. But they have this thing called Microsoft Copilot, and it's the competitor-free version of ChatGPT, but from Microsoft, and you can get paid versions of it as well. However, they decided for everybody that has a Microsoft 365, we're going to give them Microsoft Copilot. Notice the 365 is not in there. Microsoft Copilot versus Microsoft 365 Copilot. What's the difference? Well, the Microsoft Copilot is a research tool. That's what I like to call it, okay? It does more than that, but it's a great research tool, and you're not going to get the same functionality out of it that you're going to get out of the paid version of Microsoft 365 Copilot. And everybody says, well, how do I know if I've got it? If you don't pay for it, you don't have it. So if you didn't pay for Microsoft 365 Copilot, you've got Microsoft Copilot for sure. And there's some other ways to dive deeper. But the things I'm going to show you today are only capable with the paid version of Microsoft 365 Copilot. And those paid versions can only be added to Business Premium, Microsoft 365 Business Premium, Microsoft 365 E3, and Microsoft 365 E5. Yes, I talk very fast, and I'm so sorry, but it's caffeine, and on top of that, we got a lot of stuff to cover. So the one thing you need to understand is Microsoft Copilot does not have the premium security features that Microsoft 365 Copilot has. I don't know if I said that right. Again, Microsoft Copilot doesn't have the same premium security features that Microsoft 365 Copilot has. Plus, Microsoft Copilot will not access your data in your Microsoft 365, so it doesn't need the same security. All right? Now, without further ado, go for it.
So I cannot access this with Microsoft 365 apps for business?
Microsoft 365 Copilot is not part of Microsoft Apps for Business. It cannot be added to Microsoft Apps for Business. That's a very good question. As of the last research I did, which is just last week, Microsoft 365 Business Premium, Microsoft 365 E3, or Microsoft 365 E5 are the only ones that you can add the license for Microsoft 365 Copilot to. So each of those people, if you want to use it, would have two licenses, one for the Microsoft 365 and one for the Copilot. Very good question. Thanks for that, Debbie. All right. Let me pull back the curtain here. Let me stop the slideshow real quick, pull back the curtain, and show you how I do these presentations. You think that I'm an AI guy and I have Microsoft 365 and a Copilot and I write these things myself? Heck no, I don't. I have Copilot do them for me and I make them work for me. Now, the important thing in this document you see was written by Microsoft 365 Copilot. And I told it what I wanted. I was very verbose. And then I crafted it to make it look and feel and do what I wanted to do. One thing I will say before I say anything else is never, ever, 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 ever fully trust an AI engine of any kind, agent or anything like that. Trust, but verify. That's the important thing there. Verify, verify, verify everything that an AI sends you. They're not human. They make mistakes. And I've proven it time and time again. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to show you where you can access your Microsoft 365 Copilot in Microsoft Word. Up here, you see this big, pretty icon that says Copilot, right? When you click it, it opens up this nice panel on the right-hand side. That panel it works similarly in all the programs that you have for Microsoft 365, your Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, okay? But it works similarly, but in like some places, it's a little bit different. What I like to tell people, generally speaking, this panel is a research panel. Does this document have this? What else should I add to this document? You know, what are other people talking about? Does this document do this? It is not going to generally work on the document. It will give you text in this panel, okay, that you can copy and paste and put in there if you want to, but it's not generally where you act on the document itself. When you open up a new document, and I'll show you this, this is the prompt that I'm going to use. Prompts are how you get your Microsoft 365 Copilot to do what you want. I'm going to open up a new document, and I'm going to say it's going to be a new blank document. So I still got that button right there, but when I open up a new document, I've got this right here. What do you want to draft with Copilot today? I paste that in there. I don't care about the bullet. It knows we're stupid, so if you misspell, it's okay. It says, hey, I know you're a dumb human. It's okay. You don't know what you're doing. So I'm going to paste that in there and have it do a great big process document for me. Doesn't really matter what that document is. I want you to take this in your own mind and say, oh, wow, I need to do a document for my job responsibility. I need to do a marketing plan. I need to do, I need to do an HR document, a handbook, whatever. You make it up, or you need to do it off of something else. You can do that just by typing in the instructions, short or long. Now, what I want you to notice, it gave me a nice 3-page document, and the results of it here is I can look through it, I can keep it, I can have it redo it down here, or I can trash it or edit it further, okay? I'm just going to keep it for this conversation because I want to go ahead and just get started editing this document. So this is a process document that it put together for me, and I could have said based on a meeting or based on another document or based on an Excel spreadsheet. It could have done that, okay? And I'll show you a little bit more about that later. But it's a good document. I think it turned out really well. But you know what? As I'm sitting here thinking about my job responsibility, I have to now report some other information to this flow chart, okay, to this document. And it needs to be some numbers that are based on maybe a spreadsheet or just some table that I wanted to put in there. So I would say KPI metrics and stuff like that. This is going to be the table showing the last 5 years of operational costs. Well, I think that's appropriate to put at the end of this section of the document. So I put a space, and you see this little icon right here, Draft with Copilot. You click on it, and I'm just going to paste it in there. All right. Now, remember, I don't have a spreadsheet I'm referencing. I'm just telling it to put something in there that would give me an idea. Well, the numbers aren't right, but the dates are, and I can put in my real numbers, or I could go research those numbers somehow through some other data means and so on and so forth. So now all I've got to do is go through this document and actually correct this document. It doesn't read right. No, that's not the outcome that we would expect. No, those numbers aren't right. But imagine how long it would take me to prepare a document that I would have to format and all the other stuff to make it look pretty and get me to the point I'm at right now. We did that in what, a couple minutes? And then I'm talking at the same time. So imagine how fast it could actually put a document together for you. So that's an example of how we can generate documents. And that's more of a document for an operational manager, a business analyst. Anybody can do this. It's just the example I used in Word for that work role. Well, imagine you're a marketing manager, okay, and you need to put together a PowerPoint on some most recent campaign results. Of Cool. I'll copy that. I'll open up PowerPoint, and in PowerPoint, slide it up here. And in PowerPoint, I can start with a blank presentation, or I can create one with Copilot. Well, what do you think I'm going to do? I want to create one with Copilot. And it automatically comes up and say, what do I want that presentation created about? I'm going to paste in my prompt. And then I've got this nice thing, change designs. Well, what design? Do I have an organizational template that I want to use for this presentation? And I would click on it, and there would be my organizational template, which, yes, you can do your branding and your coloring and all that other stuff. But I'm just going to use this. We are a marketing team, so I want to make this look pretty slick. I don't like that one. We'll make that pretty one right there. How's that? And so I'm going to select that design, and then I'm going to say go. Now, by the way, if this is based on some other document, then what I would do is I'd click this button and I would start typing the name of that document, okay? And it will find the most recent documents that you have. Look at that. I've got it on a year of an analysis, right? And I could attach it there if I wanted to. Well, I'm not going to do that one because I'm having a problem with that one today for some reason. But I can reference any other document I want to. There's an internal improvement process, has nothing to do with marketing, but I don't have a marketing document. So I had the marketing document, the campaign that I was working on. I could attach it here and make it specifically off of that. And you just do that by clicking that little plus sign. By the way, a little tip, use the / and then start typing, and it'll bring up everything that it'll find for you in your OneDrive or SharePoint. By the way, it's got to be in your OneDrive or SharePoint, in your Microsoft 365 somewhere, or Microsoft 365 Copilot cannot use it. You would have to upload it instead. We'll build this nice, this nice slide thing to kind of show me what it's going to do from an overall perspective. I can move things around, drag it around, and do what I want, or I can add different sections. I'm just going to generate the slides for the sake of time. And then in a matter of just a moment or two, what we'll have is we'll have probably, I'm going to guess, 12, 15 slides about a marketing campaign that we're running and the objectives for it. Now, I didn't tell it anything in particular because I didn't give any data, but imagine with it, you could say, well, we did this document and here's this document. It's on this, you can see it in social media, the LinkedIn campaign, or give it details, and it's going to get closer to what you want it to do. All right. So in a matter of less than a minute, it did 23 slides for us, and pretty quick. I don't have to think about designing it. I don't have to think about, I can just come in and change it. Oh, those sections are great. They're not great. I just kind of skip over the mundane part of actually putting together a part that just takes a lot of time. But you know what? I don't think that I've got a slide summarizing data trends, right? And so again, I can use the button here to ask questions about the slide deck. Okay, create an image and that would do it for you. Or what are some common mistakes, or what else should I put in this slide? Or I could just click over here, all right, in the middle, or on a slide, and I can use this prompt and add a slide. Okay, add a slide, new slide. Let's see, a slide about summarizing data trends in the campaign. Now, I'm not going to get data because I'm not going to get exactly what I want, and that's okay. You can do tables and graphs and all kinds of great things in here. I just want a slide that I can just kind of start with. All right, data campaign trends. Now I'll edit it and keep going forward, right? Or I could have put more verbose information in there, like year-over-year comparisons, whatever, right? Or drawn on some very particular data from a website if you wanted me to. But the idea is that I've just now cut out a lot of time of thinking about how do I put the PowerPoint together. Now, I'm thinking to myself that my slide deck is not enough, and I'm really worried about it. So I'm going to ask Copilot, what else should I be considering for the slide deck? And this is where it starts to think for us a little bit. Say, well, maybe you should consider X, Y, and Z. By the way, that's my energy. Sorry. You can clap if you think that's funny. So a lot of people drink coffee. I'm not a coffee guy. So it's taking too long for my presentation. It usually goes a lot faster, but what I want you to consider is it's going to come back with great points for us to consider of other things that we could put in our slide deck if that was important to us. All right. It just doesn't normally take that long. It's because I'm beating up this stuff today so fast. Now, but you're in the finance department. You're thinking, man, how useful is this for me in the finance department? I want to use a I'm going to use a spreadsheet, and this spreadsheet right here it's a year-over-year analysis of something, right? I just threw it together, okay? It's a nonprofit thing that I did. Well, you know what? I want to know, let's see, quarterly revenue data. And we'll say annual. Let's see, create a graph of annual. Okay, if I can type data. I'm just going to say annual data. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Boom. And with that data information right there, it's going to come up with an example of a graph that it thinks I should make with this data. It's going to also allow me to read what its justification was. It's analyzing that data. Come on, wow, it's not. I'm talking faster than it can keep up today, which is kind of funny. Trust me, this is never this slow, especially with a spreadsheet this small. If it's a big spreadsheet, yeah, you should expect some time in an analysis on it. Okay, you asked for the graph of a file. Why is my computer going so slow? I haven't rebooted today, or probably this week. Here's your graph, generating a graph. Would you like a different one, a pie chart or a line chart? Or would you want to also include additional metrics and so on and so forth? There it is. And then I can go ahead and actually insert it into my PowerPoint slide deck, copy and preview, or insert it into it. So boom, right here, paste. There it is right there. Now, I could have said add a slide with if I wanted to. Sorry, guys, it's not sizing up for me as fast as I want to. Like I said, I'm working a little bit faster than it today for some reason. But there's my chart and graph. That's cool, right? That's kind of interesting, but that's easy. I could do that. I'm an expert at that myself. By the way, this is left over from the last time I did this. So let's delete that. And then I want to say, okay, well, maybe I want a yearly bar chart or I want a yearly vertical bar chart. I can use all of these prompts to do very similar. But you know what? That's easy. I want it to do some calculations for me. Okay. And so what I'm going to say is in column C, all right, in column C, insert a percent growth year-over-year revenue comparison compared to the previous year. Revenue is probably not appropriate. Probably, it's probably more, it's going to be confused because I have a meal service and nonprofit webinar yesterday, and this is a remnant of it. So my apologies. This should have been, yeah, it says, yeah, because it's not understanding. Okay, it's not understanding revenue. Okay, and let's try to do that again. All right. So it couldn't understand what you wanted to do, but it told you how to do it. Okay. So it didn't give you a non-answer. It gave you an answer that it thinks. Now let's see if I can get it to do it this time. And think about it like this. Oh, it's because it's already there. Okay, let's do it in D. Sorry. Let's do it in column D. Insert a percent growth. All right, let's see if it'll do it here. And so the goal here is that you can ask it, instead of thinking about the formula that you want to put in, and it's embarrassing me today, of course, instead of thinking about the formula that you want to make and how do I make that formula and how do I come up with that, you can tell Copilot in Excel specifically what you want it to do. And if it doesn't understand it, it's going to ask you more questions and generate what it thinks is, oh my gosh, this is really embarrassing me today. It's being temperamental. My apologies. I don't know why it's being temperamental, but I'm not going to fail. Copilot never fails like this for me. Delete that column. Come to Copilot and say, I wonder what I did, if I did an update that I shouldn't have done right before. Yeah, see, it's giving me a hard time here. So I'm going to move on to the next example. But what I want you to know is it will calculate your spreadsheets. It will do the things for your spreadsheets. It will add all the charts and graphs. And what it can't understand or anything that's very, very complex, it'll use Python to script that for you. So it's really, really versatile. All right. Now, I'm going to show you this in Teams, okay, because Microsoft 365 Copilot is fantastic for meetings and things like that. And so I want to get into Teams, and I want you to know that if you have Microsoft 365 Copilot, you will get this button up here called Copilot in your Teams, and it'll open it up right here. Notice Work Web. By the way, everybody wants to know, how can I tell the difference between if it's the Microsoft 365 Copilot or the Microsoft Copilot? You'll have this option if it is the Microsoft 365 Copilot, but still verify with your IT team. I'm going to turn ChatGPT on. Now, I'm going to show you how I can say, do we have a handbook? And I want you to say, summarize this handbook, right? Great. Well, where's that handbook at? I'm going to say SpliceNet employee, employee handbook. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it? Employee. It's a PDF, by the way. Okay. Ah, you bum, you bum. There we go, right there. And so there it is right there. And I wanted to summarize it for me without uploading it to some other third party, right? I'm actually taking a file that's in our SharePoint. It is a PDF, okay? And it's going to analyze that handbook. This is our old handbook, by the way. It's going to analyze this handbook and give me back results on what it thinks the salient points are. And I could go further and ask it more questions. Okay, identify the PTO elements of this handbook. All right, and so I'm going to stop it short because I want to get moving on. Okay, identify the PTO elements of this PDF. Okay, I'm going to say it that now it's going to remember what that PDF is. I don't have to re-reference it because we're in a flowing conversation. By the way, up here is the button to start a new conversation and you brainwash it. Okay, so it does that and summarize it. Yeah, I didn't ask for really big details. And it's also offering a couple of other questions. What are some typical elements in other companies or our company? Summarize it in clear structured format. It's trying to predict what you're going to ask next. All right. I could ask it, give me some suggestions for improvements as well if I want to, but I'm not going to do it. I want to move into another example. If you use Zoom, stop. Okay. If you have Microsoft 365, Microsoft Teams comes with Microsoft 365, and it's the ability to do this kind of thing, this kind of meeting with people. And if you have Microsoft 365 Copilot, you can record these meetings and always go back to these meetings like this one right here and ask it questions about the meeting. What does so-and-so say? So automatically, I'm going to say, I want to look at the recap of this meeting. Let me bring it up here for you. Where are you at? So it brings me up meeting notes and stuff like that. And I can use the Copilot button right here. And it's going to bring up all the history of all the questions I've ever asked. But I'm going to say, what are my action items from this meeting? I don't really have to say it like that, but I'm going to ask it. And it's going to go through the transcript and it's going to pull out the information that says that, and it's going to infer, and it's going to bring out more important information for me to say, hey, Jim, here's what you need to do. What are the deadlines? Okay. And so it's going to say, what are the deadlines? And what's going to go through that whole thing and say, this is a meeting that Debbie and I did back in March of this year. Okay. We need to target it by this date, by this date. And if it didn't say anything, well, it's Easter. It's going to say, well, you need to do it for Easter weekend because it's smart like that. Okay. If I want to draft a doc for this with deadlines. All right. Now, I went a little bit step further. I'm going to say, I want a document based on this meeting. And so I can draft it in here and it will give me something that I can copy and paste, or ask me if probably going to ask me if I want to create a file from it and download that file and work off of that file. Okay, come on. Okay, and so I could say, make a file out of it. It didn't. It does it sometimes from this, all right? And it'll make a file from that, and I can actually say a PDF file or a Word document or a PowerPoint presentation. Oh, you little bum, you're not doing it. You can do it. You've done it for me 1,000 times. Sometimes they're kind of tricky. The last thing I'm going to show you, though, before we're done, and then I'll just cover questions, is what if I needed to create a brainstorming summary document for my team based on that conversation, right? And ensure it's written with the HR team responsibilities. I could easily come in there and actually do that. And sometimes, again, it's being temperamental for me today, but I'm going to say, do this. I'm going to try it. And so I will create a brainstorming document from this conversation and ensure it's written so our HR team has responsibilities implementing initiatives. So it does create files. I don't know why it's not right now, but it does. And, I've been banging away all day at it, but it will create a file that's a downloadable file that you can then modify, send, do whatever you want for it. Okay. I don't know why it's not offering me the file today. Sorry about that. You know, it never fails when I do demonstrations that something goes wrong. So make it as scripted as possible. So that's what I've got. Real quick, I want to tell you a couple more things, and then I will let you guys go because it is 4 o'clock. Let's go back to the slide deck. Microsoft 365 Copilot is, come on, and come on. Wow. I think I just banged away on my processor so much today. That's not. Microsoft 365 Copilot costs $31 a month approximately for you to subscribe to it. And if you're interested in talking about how would you implement it in your organization, I strongly recommend you shoot me an email at jim@valeonetworks.com. And sorry, my computer has decided to hang up, probably because I have too many slides, too many things open. There we go. Of course, it caught up then. Remember, you can only be added to Business Premium, E3 or E5. And if you're interested in knowing how you would implement it for your organization, again, jim@valeonetworks.com. And now, what questions do we have, Debbie?
Is that cost per person?
It is. It is. And only the people that actually have the license can actually do the kinds of things that I just did. It is an additive license. By the way, if you don't want to stay for the questions, you're welcome to kind of bounce. I get that. If you want to stay and hear the answers to the questions, please, by all means, hang out.
Right now, we don't have any other questions.
All right. Raise your hand if you learned something today, because that's important to me. I love it. Thank you very much, Vicki, and everyone else, Anna and John and Jill. Appreciate that. Appreciate it. All right. Listen, everybody can drop off if you want. If there's no questions, if you want to hang out for the questions, we'll wait for a couple more minutes. Thank you, Stephanie. Sorry, guys, that it didn't all work the way I wanted it to today. When you're using this, though, you don't have a problem. I'm doing a lot here with my computer, and I just don't. Yeah, I've got like 6 PowerPoint slide decks open that it's giving me a problem with. So that's why it's bomb, and I probably have used my processor. Whereby I would record
I have
session.
a quick question.
Yep.
Go. It says, where will I be able to find recorded version of this training?
Yep, we will send you an opportunity to download the recording and watch the recording. By the way, if you have any problems, there's my contact slide deck right there. Finally got it open by closing a couple of PowerPoints. But yeah, it'll be available. We'll make an email out to everybody to download it and watch it again if you want.
And how do we get our organization's branded templates added?
Yeah. So if you're a Valeo customer, which I hope you are, that's something we can help you with. And I would talk to your CCA. If not, shoot me an email at jim@ValeoNetworks, or scan the QR code and fill out the form on the website, and we'll set up a meeting to actually talk about how we can get that for you. And if you're thinking about implementing AI, I would strongly recommend spending about 30 minutes with me just talking, because it's one of those things where you can overshare and your AI can have way too much access if you don't go through the process of implementing it correctly. That's any AI for that matter.
And that would be it.
And Stephanie, I see some hands up. Do you have other questions? Just put your question in the chat, please. I ran out of time. I didn't go fast enough. Huh. Okay, Debbie, we have any other questions?
No. Oh, no, we do not. Oh, yep, we do. Nancy has one. Will there be additional training from Jim?
You know what? I do these monthly, so I give examples all the time. I implore you, when you see the webinar to come out, sit in on my webinar. I always give new things every month. Thanks for asking that, though, Nancy. I really appreciate it. Anyone else?
Nope.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Listen, again, jim@valeonetworks.com, or hit up our website. There's a form. This is our old website, so we don't have a form on Valeo Networks just yet, but we'll have it within the next week, and I'll send that link out to everybody else instead. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you so much, Nancy. Take care.